Merry Meet. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are working on a psalm spell today, and today we are working on Psalm 64. And there's a bunch of different ways that people tend to use Psalm 64, and today we are going to use it for protection against secret enemies. So, protection against secret enemies, those can be enemies in the world, but ultimately they are secret enemies that exist within ourselves, because within is where the causative plane is. We always want to work these psalms on ourselves, even though our goal is to get something done in the world. That's the fast track. That's the fast way to get results with Psalm Magick. All right, the way we work these psalms is very simple. We take the psalm in question. This particular one is Psalm 64. We read it out loud all the way through once without stopping. We call this an incantation. And then we go back through that same psalm and we take it verse by verse and we consider all of those meanings that are lying dormant within the psalm, secret occult meanings. We view these as seeds or even packets of seeds. And those seeds have divine magic within them. And by that searching and digging and contemplating, and then the application of those thoughts to the purpose at hand, we are in a very real sense taking those seeds and planting them deeply in the fertile ground of our minds, where they take root and they grow and they bear fruit after their kind. And that's how we get results with these seeds. And that's what we are going to do together with Psalm 64. Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. That they may shoot in secret at the perfect, suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil manner. They commune with laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. But God shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of God, for they shall wisely consider his doing. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord, and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory. All right, so now let's work the magic on this psalm. It starts out with, hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Okay, so who is God? In this sense, when we are working these psalms, we have to always define who we're speaking to or addressing. And God is not a deity. It's not even the deity of the ancient Hebrews. It is the life principle itself. It is the source of all life. It is pre-gender, so it's neither male nor female, but it's before male and female became separated. It is the source of all life. It is the one and only power of the universe, and there is none other. There's nothing to thwart it. There's nothing to oppose it. One with God as a majority means that when you are aligned with this power, with this force, nothing can stop you. So it says, hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. So hear my voice. Now, my voice, you could be doing this silently and God can hear your voice. The voice means the way I'm expressing myself to you. Because remember, God does not do anything for us uninvited. Otherwise, it would be an attack. Can you imagine if we didn't do anything, if we didn't ask for help and then some band of angels came in and decided for us what would be right for us? That's not what anybody wants. Can you imagine just sitting in your home and then all these soldiers come in and do good for you, make everything better for you, but you didn't ask them? That's never going to happen with God. So hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. We are establishing that we are asking. We are initiating this contact so that we are we are giving permission. We are asking for help. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Well, there's only one enemy, and that enemy in ourselves is the thought that we are separate from God, that we are separate, that we need help, that there's something wrong with us, that there's something wrong with our lives. So that kingpin of a thought, that ego thought that I am separate, I'm different than God. In biblical parlance, that would be I'm better than God. That's the whole idea of, the myth of that angel that was fallen because according to the story, that angel was trying to be better than God, but was trying to be brighter than God. Well, how do you become better than perfection? By being imperfect. It's just a myth. It's just a story. It's talking about you. How do you become better than or different than or better than or separate than all good? Well, you got to have something wrong with you. That's the enemy. The enemy is the lie. The enemy is the lie. So preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. Now let's look at this as an internal process. Don't worry about your secret enemies in the world. Those are taken care of when we deal with what's going on inside, okay? So what's the secret counsel of the enemy? That's all your hidden motivations at self-destruction. You know how that works, right? All of this stuff that's they talk about unconscious motivation. Unconscious motivation. I was just talking about that the other day to somebody. They were complaining about their mother, didn't raise them right or something like that. And I knew a little bit about the story of it. And I said, you realize that your mother didn't do this on purpose, right? That this was all unconscious. She was motivated by an unconscious motivation, to do these things because of the way she was raised. Those kinds of things are the secret counsel of the wicked. These thought forms within ourselves that are programmed. We programmed them, by the way, when we decided to feel separate from our Creator. That ego was formed, and so everything that is a part of that ego thought form is programmed to prove to you that you're not good enough, to prove to you that you're separate from your good, to prove to you that there's something different about you than perfection. There's something special about you. This is not the kind of special we want. So hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. What's an insurrection, right? When all of these thought forms come in and attack the homogeneity of the truth of who we are. The sacred temple of who you are becomes attacked by these thought forms. Well, an insurrection is impossible in truth. Nothing can attack God. God is unassailable. And since you are a product of God, and remember, we're not talking about a patriarchal deity, so don't get the wrong idea. But you're an extension of the light of God. You are an extension. That's what your soul is. Your soul is to God what a beam of light is to the sun. It's a sunbeam. You're an extension. Totally unique. Totally 100% unique. There's no soul like you, right? And you're unassailable because you are the same fabric of God. But we can think we're assailable. And we can set up a world in which we can prove to the universe that we're assailable, even though it's a lie. So this world is based on a lie. So that's the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, is trying to prove that you can be attacked. And then as soon as you start defending yourself from that attack, that's when the ego's got you, because that's when you say, oh, it must be real, right? When you don't let God defend you, but you defend yourself. Who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. Okay, so the ego mind, these thought forms cannot really become active in your life without giving word to their iniquity, without giving word to their lie. They've got to express the lie. They have to express the lie, otherwise it's not really a lie. So you'll find evidence of that, of it whetting their tongue like a sword and bending their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, by the way that you notice you speak. You may not be able to control your mind. Your mind is so vast, but you can control your words. Yes, you can. And controlling your words is the way we get control of the mind. That and meditation are the two ways that we can control the mind. So you want to make sure that you notice when those thought forms are whetting their whetting their tongue like a sword, and bending their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. So the way they do it in secret is to be sly and cunning. And they have to give word to the lie, or it doesn't have power. That's the power of your word. And you'll be able to catch it by listening to the things that you happen to say in idle conversation, or under your breath, or to yourself, or even if you can notice some of the idle thoughts that you're thinking, you will see them there. You'll see evidence of what those thoughts are. They encourage themselves in an evil manner. They commune of laying snares privily. Okay, so first of all, they encourage themselves in an evil manner. They have to be encouraged evilly. They encourage themselves evilly. Have you noticed that any kind of conspiracy, any kind of a bad thing that happens in the world, any kind of criminal behavior, those people have to be encouraged. They have to get their courage up because they know they're wrong. They know they're going to get caught. They know that they're in danger by the very nature of what they're doing. Right? So they encourage themselves in an evil manner. Evil means everything that's not real, everything that's not part of the truth, everything that believes that there is something that can be separate from good. So all of that darkness, all of those evil lies, all of the false universe that is created as a result of that reflection of those thoughts, all of those things are an evil manner. So they encourage themselves by creating illusion. They encourage themselves by digging into the darkness deeper and deeper and deeper. They commune of laying snares privily. So they want to catch you. They want to put snares everywhere so that you don't have a chance, right? They say, who will see them? Well, you won't, because you don't even pay attention. That's the biggest thing that the ego mind and all of those thought forms have. That's the biggest power they have to wreak havoc on our lives, is that we believe that everything we think is who we are. We believe that everything that happens to us is part of us. We don't question the fact that there are entire parts of our mind, there are entire thought forms which are alien to us, which are imposters, which are just made up, that they did not get created by God, so they don't really exist. So when we're thinking along the lines of those thoughts, we're not really thinking at all. We're just hallucinating. We are creating an illusion. Where is that? Oh, they search out iniquities. That's all they do, is they look to see iniquity, see iniquity. I want to show you all of the ways in which you're bad, they're bad, the world is bad, everything's bad. I'm here to search it out and to prove to you again and again and again how bad everything is. Those are your secret enemies, and they do it under the surface. They do it under the surface. Now, you may have secret enemies that pop up in your life, because everything in your life is a reflection of what's going on outside. So you may notice when you work a psalm like this to get rid of those secret thought forms, that what also comes to light are some people that have not been so great in the dark, in the shadows. But that's not the ultimate purpose of why we're working this psalm, but it is one of the results that will come from working this psalm. And it may be a reason why you came to this psalm in the first place, is to take care of those things. They accomplish a diligent search. So they search out iniquities, and they accomplish a diligent search. That's all they're there for. They're worker bees, these thoughts. All they care about is working day and night to show you and to prove to you how bad everything is. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. These things run deep. These things run to the core of the problem, of that big, giant, huge lie, at the core of why things don't work for us. That's how deeply they run. They are all the way stuck into that ego. But you want to know the good news? None of it's real. None of it's real. It's no more real than a nightmare is real once you wake up from it and it's not there anymore. It's no more real than that. But it sure seems real in the midst of it. But God shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly they shall be wounded. And it's important to recognize that it's sudden. As soon as we work a psalm like this or any kind of magic like this to get rid of these secret thoughts, when it's done, it's over. It's kaput. Notice that it happens suddenly. It's just amazing how quickly everything just changes for us when we do this stuff. We want those thought forms to be wounded. Don't feel sorry for those thought forms because they're not real. That's what a demon is. A demon is a dark spirit that's not real. It has no life force of its own. Right? A virus doesn't exist outside of its host. A parasite can't exist outside of its host. Therefore, in a very real sense, they're not real. They're not real. In the midst of the illusion, they seem real. So we're not discounting that your problem. We're not saying your problems are just illusions, so don't worry about them. But we're saying that in the ultimate scheme of things, these problems can't exist. And so that's why you are safe, and you will always be safe. And that's why it's so easy to get rid of this stuff when we come to a psalm like this, because all we're doing is we're putting ourselves back in alignment with the truth, and the truth always will liberate you. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Evil always destroys itself. So the less attention we give evil, the less we interact with evil, the more we recognize it for what it is, the faster it can destroy itself, because we're not keeping it alive by attempting to legitimize it. It always destroys itself. And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of God, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. Well, all men in this respect is all of your inner thought forms. All aspects of who you are going to fear, meaning respect, meaning recognize, and declare the work of God. So God's work, what is God's work? God's work is creation. God's work is you. God's work is your soul. You're one of God's very, very most treasured creations. God doesn't treasure Beethoven more than you. God doesn't treasure, Gandhi more than you. God doesn't treasure Jesus more than you. God's not like that. God's not like, oh, I like you, and I have a favorite, and I don't have that, and I don't like that one that much, or, No, you are treasured. You're treasured. You're God's creation. You are the work of God, and all of your thoughts are going to declare the work of God and wisely consider his doing. All of your thoughts are going to wisely consider the fact that you are a divine child of the infinite, and you are sacred, and where you walk is sacred ground. And that's going to be a very different experience for you, because you're not running away from all these negative thought forms and these secret enemies, and these things aren't running amok anymore, because you've given God right of way when you do a psalm like this. And when God has right of way, all that means is that you're coming back to the truth of who you are, a beloved child of the infinite that has all power. All power is yours. Everything that God has, God gave to you. So everything that is God-like is your gift. You have the same amount of power as God does in that regard. The only difference between you and God is that God created you and you didn't create God. That's really the only difference. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord and shall trust in him. And all the upright in heart shall glory. Okay, so the righteous are all of the right thoughts, all of the true thoughts in your mind, all of those true thought forms are going to be glad in the Lord. So being glad in the Lord, meaning glad in the fact that you can contemplate those qualities of God. Let's go through just a couple before we end this psalm, because this is the last verse. God is infinite truth. Wherever there's divine truth, nothing no lies can exist. So just considering truth, just considering the idea of truth, and even calling on and claiming divine truth, invoking. Divine truth is present here and now. Just say that out loud. Divine truth is present here and now. Divine truth is present in this situation, whatever it happens to be, right? So divine truth, divine love, perfect love. Perfect love permeates every aspect of my mind, my body, and all my affairs. There is no truth other than perfect love. There is nothing but perfect love. Perfect love is the one and only reality in my situation, right? We've got perfect law, God's laws. Now, we have some laws in the world reflect God's laws, but some laws don't. But God's laws supersede all the other laws. That's a cool thing, because when you're aligned with the laws of the infinite, with the laws of truth, with the laws of the perfect divine laws, and they supersede the laws of this earth, then that's when these miracles happen. That's when it seems like, oh, this just completely reversed the laws of time and space. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It just can't. It overcame a law of this world that's not real, that's not based in truth, that's not based in ultimate fact. And God's laws are the real laws. And so when God's laws are invited to come in and supersede something, it looks like some big miracle happened. When in reality, all that happened is things got put back into place where they belong, right? The righteous shall be glad in glory. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord and shall trust in him. So when you put your trust in these principles, you're just putting your trust in reality rather than trusting in those little voices in your head, those little secret enemies that are constantly trying to convince you that you're bad, that there's something wrong with you. Right? So you're not going to trust in those anymore. You're going to trust in the Lord. And all the upright in heart shall glory. Well, what's glory? Well, first of all, glory is sphere number 8 on the tree of life. That is Mercury. And Mercury is transformation. And Mercury changes everything. Mercury is change. And Mercury glows. That's glory. Mercury glows. That is Raphael, glowing with glory. So the righteous shall be glad in the Lord and shall trust in him, and the upright in heart. So how do you become upright in heart? Your heart is the truth of who you are. When you recognize that you already are upright in heart, then your mortal attitude can start to get on the same page of who you are as a soul. And once that happens, boy, your heart shall glory. You shall glory. You shall glory. That means you shall be transformed. That means you shall be changed. That means that your aura will start to sparkle and shimmer as the star that you really are, that you truly are. And that's what we do with a psalm like this. And that's how we can use this spell, this magical spell of God, the spell of God to annihilate all secret enemies within our lives. Thank you so much for joining me today. I cannot wait to work with you again. And until that time, blessed be.